Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome to another video. People ask me all the time, Sophie, what is the worst book you've ever read? Which is interesting to ask since I don't like any books, but people are curious. And if I had to give you an honest answer as of right now in my life, the answer would be Haunting Adeline. Thank you for asking. Yes guys, the time has finally come. I finished Haunting Adeline in December and it's been in the back of my mind ever since because I can never get over a book until I make the review and have it out of my mind. Out of sight, out of mind. I know my idioms. And I've been pushing Haunting Adeline around for a while now, not wanting to make a review because I feel like this is gonna be so hateful. And that's why I want to give a disclaimer right in the beginning, before I even say anything else. If you like this book, then this video is not for you. It's not for you. I don't understand how anyone can like this book. There is no argument you can bring forward towards me that would make me understand. None. The only thing I would accept is something like someone shot you and you were holding Haunting Adeline in front of you, and so the bullet couldn't pierce through your skin because it pierced Haunting Adeline, and that's how the book saved your life. Then I would kind of understand. That's the only reason. So if you like this, don't watch this. It's gonna be so hateful. It's gonna be so angry, probably. And I am a little sick also. I'm gonna try to not make it as long as I always do, but I always think, oh, this is not gonna be so long, and then I sit here for 2 hours and I'm just like, what did I say for 2 fucking hours? How can someone talk for that long? But guys, if you don't know me, you've come to the right place for the Master Yapper. I know I'm a yapper. I'm going to be yapping in this video. I know! You don't have to point it out. There's also going to be timestamps in the description because I want to talk about other things before I talk about the rant or the book and make a rant. So if you only want to hear about the rant, you can skip forward. Also, if you are the author and you're watching this, fuck you. The author of this book is now very high on the hate list that I have in my mind that I'm not going to share, but she's very high up there. Another thing that I don't want to hear in the comments, I know. I did not have an N. I'm out of N's. Sometimes you have to get creative. And so I just drew it. And I don't even know if you can see. But the message is still the same. Fuck you. No, honestly, now leading up to the review, I've had to concern myself with this book again quite a bit. And the amount of people that I see talk about how great this book is, I just cannot comprehend. I cannot comprehend it, really. And so I'm just saying it right off the bat, I don't want to fight with you. If you like this, then keep it to yourself. Just like I'm keeping this to I'm not keeping it, I'm literally sharing it. But, you know, you have a choice here. You can watch or you can't watch. Or, okay. Huh? Thank you to everyone who's still here. Love you. This is going to be a ride. Haunting Adeline deals with a lot of topics and a lot of them are very triggering or can be very triggering to a lot of people. So I just want to say as a disclaimer also that I will be talking about those topics. I will be talking about assault, R-wording. But yeah, I've never had any issues on YouTube being demonetized because I swear. But I'm going to try to avoid saying R-wording. And I thought of an alternative and I think I'm just going to say vaping. Because it kind of sounds like R-wording, but it isn't. And vaping is almost, I was gonna say it's almost as bad. No, but stop vaping. What the fuck are you doing walking around with your cherry ass fucking vape? I wanted to say pussy, what's going on? We don't use that as an insult. Guys, vaping is bad. Don't vape. And also don't R-word. So, topics like that. We're also going to talk about child sacrifices. It's all in here. So if that's something that you're sensitive towards, don't feel bad. Just know this book exists. This book isn't for you. This book isn't for anyone. And watch my next video. Or the last one. Or every video on my channel. And also, before I talk about everything else, I want to give a shout out to my members. My members, the book haters, they get early access to all of my videos, so they're also seeing this before you. They get to vote on my next reads. Just now I had a poll up and sadly or not, sadly for you guys, Bride by Ellie Hazelwood won, so that's my next read. I hope everyone's excited. I'm not. They get exclusive content such as my Ruby Red movie commentary, and they also get stickers for the comments and a cool badge next to their name, and my eternal peace and love. And it's also just a way to support me for suffering and buying the books. My members are Haley B, Ashley Ranger B, Mrs. Preminger, Trinity D ELW, Clara S, Kushimita, Deja, Queen Sif, Courtney, Haley Charles, Grace, Alouette, Probably Bree, Marissa Simons, Asteria, Lacey EDC, Joe Beans, Sam Wise from Lord of the Rings, Usagi Swimfree, Megan May, Carrie G, and my newest member, oh my god, sorry girl, is Sydney. And I always like to do a little anecdote. I saw your profile picture. Your profile picture is a picture of child. No, not the children that are getting sacrificed in this book, but the one from Genshin Impact. Guys, I used to play Genshin Impact religiously for multiple times. Like, I get hyperfixated on it, not at the moment, but I've been playing it since release. I was one of the first ones. No, I wasn't. But I played it when it came out. Yeah. That's the truth, guys. And I do have child. Thankfully. Do any of you guys play Genshin Impact? Is that still like, do people still actively play it? I don't know. Sometimes I get like really into it again. Usually when I have exams coming up, because then I just do everything but study. And then I get hyper fixated on Genshin Impact and Teamfight Tactics. Whatever. After this very long intro, which has been hated on by someone recently under one of my videos, they were like, why are you doing intros that are 10 minutes without ranting? Bitch! This is my channel. I decide. I make the rules. Why wouldn't you want more of me? Speaking of, follow me on Instagram at honestlysophyyt, and if you wanna follow me on my German TikTok, sophie.honestly, then I would also be very happy. I'm just yapping over there in German, because I'm German. Love you. I gave it 1 star. My review on Goodreads was, people that say they like this book are the same people that are too shy to make a phone call themselves, and I stand by that. I thought that was so clever and funny, but for some reason it didn't get the love it deserved. I think. Because I think it's really funny, and I think it sums up the vibe of the people who like this book perfectly. The only reason I can explain myself, I already said, if the book actually saved your life from a bullet, then maybe. But also people who just think that they are different for reading this, because I have talked about this before, but when I was younger, when I was 14, and I didn't know where left and right was, no, that's not how you say it. I didn't know, I couldn't, oh my god, German? Okay. When I was 14, I was getting into reading, and I also started reading in English, and then I liked especially crude things, or things that were, or gave me the feeling of being an intellectual. If people used big words in books, I felt better than everyone, then I would just say I liked it, because I knew like not everybody would get it. Like, I got it and you didn't get it, like you're so stupid. Or if things were like really vile, I was like, yeah, I like it, I can deal with that. You know, that's kind of like, the people who like this book give me the vibe of thinking that they're better than you because they like it and they can deal with it. But bitch, I read the book, I can deal with it, and I hated it. So where does that put me? Above you? Let's talk about the author first before we get into the book. I always like to take a little look at them and kind of understand who they are, how old they are, where they're from, just their background, because oftentimes with the books that I read, it explains a little bit. And it's very interesting because the author is H.D. Carlton, and I think, and this is me just spreading fake news right now, that back in the day, abbreviation, is this abbreviation? That's not an abbreviation, it's initials were used as an author name instead of the full name, because then it's gender neutral and you don't know who wrote the book. Like, you don't know if the author was male or female, blah blah blah, you know, women writing books, ugh. I don't want to read from a woman. And isn't that like also why J.K. Rowling did it? Not that you know what, J.K. Rowling, jail. I heard that somewhere once, and then so I'm just spreading these news to you. Maybe not, but that's always what I think of when I see people use their initials for author names. And I also think that they think that they're better than you because they're not going by their full legal name, they're going by their initials, and they think that's cooler. And I think H.D. Carlton does sound a lot cooler than, and more badass, because she has like a badass vibe. If you look at her Instagram and stuff, she really is into like all of those dark things and like, how do you say, what's the vibe? Goth? Ugh, I don't want to say anything wrong. I don't know anything about aesthetics, obviously. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I do think that H.D. Carlton sounds a lot cooler than if you wrote a book about a stalker vaping around that is also QAnon fanfic what am I saying? Oh, that H.D. Carlton sounds cooler than if you put Haley on the book. Haley. I'm not gonna refer to her as H.D. She's Haley. She's from Ohio. I don't know what's going on in Ohio. I only know Ohio because of Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Aren't they from there? Sorry if you're from Ohio. Shout out Ohio. I don't know what's going on down there. But isn't it kind of like as unhinged as Florida? Sorry.
Also, I was thinking what else Ohio reminded me of, guys. Sorry, I'm sick. Do you know that one video where the daughter tells the woman that Jesus was seen? And she's like, Jesus was seen, Mom. And the mom is like, oh my God, baby, show it to me. Show it to me, baby. Where? And the daughter goes, in Ohio. He was not seen in Ohio. But we will be talking about Jesus. So I feel like this is all kind of making sense now.
And she has a boyfriend. Congratulations. And she also lives with her cats and her dog. I think it was multiple cats and one dog. Or multiple dogs and one cat. Doesn't matter. Both together. She's crazy like that. And then, of course, the number one thing that I want to find out when I'm looking into authors is how old are they? And she's 27. I don't know if she posted that anywhere. I just found it out online. Sorry. Listen, if you're gonna write about a stalker, I'm gonna become one. I'm gonna become one. So she's 27. I think that's rather young for the authors that I talk about all the time, because most authors are always in their early 30s. I think if you did an average of ages, it would be early 30s. Also, again, just yapping. I don't know. I'm just making an estimate out of my mind. Just coming up with shit right now. And so 27 strikes me as young, especially because that's only 4 years older than me. And I just don't really like her vibe. I looked at her Instagram, what she posts, I looked at her TikTok, and overall, the vibe that I get from her is just not Pookie material. Because I also say, if I think an author is like, if there's a good vibe, for example, Rebecca Ross, who wrote Divine Rivals, fuck Divine Rivals, peace and love. Peace and love. Rebecca. We know Rebecca Ross is my Pookie. I established that. She's not on the hate list, she's on the Pookie list. I'm just making lists now. H.D. Carlton is on the hate list. I don't like her vibe. It strikes me as, peculiar. Oh my god. You know that one book about the home? Miss Peregrine's home of children? But there's a P word? Not pedo. Peculiar. Oh my fucking god. Oh my. Peculiar. I don't even want to continue. I don't care. You know, odd. Why don't you just use the word odd? When I was trying to find out how old she was, you know, I had to go onto her Instagram and look at some things. And she does allegedly have a family member. I don't know how they're related, and I'm saying allegedly because I don't know that well, because I couldn't really figure it out, who's part of Jehovah's Witnesses. And I don't really know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses. I only have beef with the Mormons, quite frankly. That's the only religious group that I have active beef with. She had like a link in her bio that was to the Jehovah Witness website, and it doesn't say Jehovah Witness, it's like JW, and so I clicked it because I was like, what the fuck is this link? And it took me to the Jehovah's Witness website, and I was like, oh, she's a Jehovah's Witness, okay. But then I was even more confused because I mean this with peace and love. Maybe I'm gonna have beef with the Jehovah's Witnesses after this video. This is what opened, and this is obviously in German, but if you can, you know what this means if you're German. It says that soon, unknown when, but soon, Jesus is going to stop crimes. All of the crimes. When's he doing that? Did he tell them? When's he planning on doing that? I could really use it right now. Fuck crimes. Okay, I'm lying. It doesn't say soon. It just says Jesus will end crimes. He will do it. But it doesn't say when. And I didn't click further. I was just like, I clicked the link, this opened, and I read the headline. I was like, huh? I didn't know. This wasn't in the news. Continuing on, you're curious why I wrote this in the back, right? Before I talk about it, generalized, I want to talk about the book, some information. It was self-published by Haley, and she's got a few other books. She published books before this, they're all self-published, and the German version is actually only coming out in April, sorry, got my months mixed up. I don't even know what day it is. Help! It struck me as odd, because as peculiar, I'm just gonna say peculiar, bitch, I have an accent, so what, peculiar. You know what? Back in the day, I always, instead of biscuit, I always used to say biscuit. I didn't know it, so this just kind of reminded me of that. It's kind of cute, right? It makes me cute. Oh, sorry, I don't have a voice. I do have a voice, and I'm using it right now to tell everybody, Haunting Adeline. Don't read it. Don't read it. Shouldn't have been published. Shouldn't have been published. I have to think of a title. Haunting Adeline. Jail. I don't know. It'll come to me when I'm editing. No, but the German version is coming out in April. Beginning of April. Of course, don't worry. With a sprayed edged. Sprayed edge. They're not doing edging in this book, don't worry. They're doing a bunch of other things though. And it's by the Fajona publisher. Fajona. What the fuck is that? I didn't know they published books, but I looked at their website because I was curious and because I've never heard of them before. There's like a bunch of big German publishers. Obviously there's smaller ones too, but I would have thought that this book is something that would have been picked up by a big German publisher just because of the hype that it has gotten and they want to make money. But it seems to me that Fajona gets the books that nobody wants. What am I supposed to tell you guys? This book is fucking ass, right? And this is not here without a reason. And I only put the hashtag jail because it would have looked weird if I only had 2 lines like QAnon fanfic. I was thinking like, you know, just creatively, like, should I put this in the bottom but then the middle would be free? No, hashtag jail. Because I do think that if you're discussing topics like this and you make it not educational at all, you just want to write it because you can. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. We've talked about dark romance before, guys. If you don't know, watch all of my videos. Watch all of them with the ads. Please. Please. I didn't even know what QAnon was. I didn't. And then I took my trusty Kindle, I turned it around, right? And I opened it and I looked at the disclaimer because there is a disclaimer at the beginning of the book that we can gladly read together. Important note, none of these conspiracies derive from anti-Semitism, sorry, or QAnon, but from my own demented imagination. And also like using the word demented imagination, I feel like demented, we don't say that. Isn't that like the R word? Alexa, was heißt demented auf Deutsch?
Dement. Auf Deutsch heißt Demenzunfähigkeit.
No, I wasn't speaking French. Maybe we were allowed to say it, but it just gives me a weird vibe. And then she says common, but from my own demented imagination, common conspiracies in the media, and many occult horror movies my dad used to watch growing up. This book ends on a cliffhanger. The contents are very dark with triggering situations such as non-dubcon between the main characters, graphic violence, human trafficking, stalking, child sacrifice, mentions of child death, and explicit sexual situations, and vaping. It doesn't say that, I just told you guys because she doesn't want to call it that, but I will. There are also particular kinks such as gunplay, somnophilia, I don't know what that is, I don't want to know what it is, bondage and degradation, because he calls her a bad girl. Ugh! This book was previously taken down due to the warning, but you can also find them in reviews on my website or feel free to message me directly. Your mental health matters. Okay. Why are we writing this? Wee-oo, police is coming. Apparently she had to change this because there wasn't a different trigger warning or important note before, and I saw this on Reddit, and you cannot trust anything that's on Reddit, but we just have to go with it. Her original author's note was pretty fucking specific. This book deals heavily with human trafficking, child trafficking mostly, but not only that, it deals with the conspiracy theories surrounding the government with child sacrifices and cannibalism. Yet the new one says it doesn't stem from anti-Semitism and QAnon, even though the conspiracy she invented is classic anti-Semitism and QAnon. You're like really confused right now, I get it. What is QAnon? Or do you say QAnon? I don't know. Guys, I have an accent, I'm German. Excuse me. I'm excused. I asked ChatGPT. I have to be honest. I asked him, I said, hey bro, what is QAnon? Can you tell me? He says, QAnon is a conspiracy theory that originated on the internet forums. In 2017, it alleges that a secret cable of satanic pedophiles controls the world and is being fought against by former President Donald Trump. QAnon. He is fighting. He's fighting them! QAnon followers believe in a series of cryptic clues posted online by an anonymous figure known as Q. The movement has been linked to various acts of violence and has been widely debunked by experts. So so is ChatGPT telling me that they believe that Donald Trump is Q from QAnon and that he wants to expose the satanic leaders because he believes in God? Woo! No, that was supposed to be like the eagle. The American eagle. Didn't sound like it. I thought, because I've heard about QAnon in passing, that it was an organization of people. That was like the umbrella term for a bunch of people who believed in the conspiracy theories, not that QAnon was the conspiracy theory itself. But you're gonna say, what does this mean? Why are you saying this is QAnon fanfic? How the fuck does that make any sense? Why is my camera overheating already? Oh my god, this is gonna be a long one, guys. If I look like Donald Trump by the end of this, you'll know why, because I'm going insane. The main male character in this book goes by Z. His name is Zaid, but he goes by Z. And that is the organization that is fighting against leaders and like government people who are performing satanic rituals. And he is going against it with his organization called Z or Z, doesn't fucking matter. Against them who are doing blood rituals and child sacrifices, but we'll talk more about it when I get into the review, like why he does it and everything. But I've also read on Reddit that the author has said that she didn't even know about QAnon before writing this book, like that she genuinely just made this shit up. But it struck a lot of people as odd, as peculiar, because it literally is QAnon. It, like, even the Z and the Q thing is exactly the same. And she was like, no, guys, I came up with it myself. Allegedly. Everything I say in this video is alleged. I don't have any money, please don't fight me. Anyway, if you're wondering about the anti-Semitism, because of course, it doesn't end with QAnon. Apparently, before the book was taken down or edited, whatever, allegedly, everything I say is like, I'm so scared. The evil guys who are the senators that are being hunted by the main male character, they apparently had very Jewish last names. So, think of that whatever you will. Again, I can't say whether this actually happened or not because I didn't see any proof of it, but I can believe it with everything else that is in this fucking book. This book has 425,000 ratings on Goodreads and it has a 3.99 average, which, let's round that up to a 4.0, which is absolutely fucking insane. The second book has around 300,000 ratings and that's way better, like above 4. I don't remember because I didn't look it up. But well, I did look it up, but I just forgot. That's as simple as that. And when we get to the end of the rant, when we've talked about the entire plot, when the sun has set, because it will set in this video, then we'll talk about the second book and the view that, or how do you say the teaser that we got for that, the description for it, because I guess, guys, let's just get into it, right? Everything that you still have questions about, it will probably resolve itself while I am talking about everything that happens. The description, or like on the back of the book, is basically that the main character falls in love with her stalker. And that's all you get. And that's how people promote it, right? The plot? So much more than that, guys. So much more than that. Who is the main character? Her name is Adeline. And as we know, the book is called Haunting Adeline. Oh, no, I said it 2 different ways. Adeline or Adeline? Haunting Adeline? Well, her nickname is Addie. Let's just go with that. And also, this book came out like in 2020 or 2021, one or the other. But I'm going to allege that this is a self-insert because the main character is talking to her best friend. She has one friend. Her name is Daya. And she tells our main character, because this is from the main character's point of view, and then we also switch to the male dudes. The male dudes? Oh my god. The dude's perspective. You've had plenty of opportunities. You just don't take them. You're a hot 26-year-old woman with freckles, a great pair of tits, and an ass to die for. That's our main character. Humongous boobs. Humongous butt. Probably a BBL, allegedly. And she's also an author. She writes, I think, like 2 or 3 times in this book. for her book. And the main character, the other main character, Z, he falls in love with her when seeing her at a book signing. Like, he's standing outside and he sees her and he falls in love with her and he's like, she's gonna be mine. And then he starts stalking her, but he never reads any of her books. So, seems a little shallow to me, but who am I to speak? You have to imagine this scene. He's standing outside the bookstore. This woman is sitting in the front doing a book signing for her book that we never get to hear anything about. And he sees her through the window and he thinks this: all I want to do is break her, shatter her into pieces, and then arrange those pieces to fit against my own. I don't care if they don't fit, I'll fucking make them. Because I'm obsessed, I'm addicted. Why? Zaid doesn't really have any explanations for anything that he does. He doesn't have any explanation why he does the job that he does. He doesn't have any explanation why he becomes obsessed with her. And it's really interesting because I looked up Haunting Adeline on TikTok to see what people had to say about it. And there's definitely people speaking up against it, which is great. But there's also people who love it. And in the comments, there's people who say, I love this book. I don't understand how you cannot like it after a person. It's the same with me, you know? I make hour-long videos and people are like, I don't know how you don't like the book. Bitch! I just spoke about it for an hour and a half. But also on TikTok, there was a person I saw that made a video about how they didn't like the book. And that was like a 2-minute video. And then someone commented, I don't know how you don't like it. Huh? And then someone said, the love comes from the passion. I don't really know what that means. Why is he passionate about her? Because she has big boobs? He would be obsessed with me. I also have big boobs and a big butt. There's no reason. There's no reason. You just kind of have to go with it, you know? I think that Mrs. Haley really just wanted to write about two people fucking and vaping and didn't want to write a plot around it because the plot that is going on, the poor excuse of a plot, is a poor excuse of a plot. He starts stalking her. He leaves roses around his house. He later confesses that he chose roses because that used to be his mother's favorite flower, and so he thought it was romantic to just break into her house and leave flowers. And she gets scared, understandably so. At this point, she doesn't know who it is. She calls the police multiple times, has police records or police reports filed multiple times, but you have to understand that he is Z, or Z, the leader of the not QAnon conspiracy theory organization, whatever, who's hunting down child predators, and so he is the best hacker in the entire universe. There's nothing he can't hack. He could hack everything into anything he wanted, and so he knows everybody also. He knows people from the FBI, from the police, he knows everybody. He can just figure everything out. Don't worry about it. And if I'm being honest, like, I couldn't really take Addie seriously throughout the entire book because that just could never be me. She keeps staying in this house. She lives in a house that she inherited from her grandma who died, and she moves in there for sentimental value. It's in the middle of the woods. There's nothing around. She starts getting stalked. She's like, ugh, I'll just stay here. I don't have an option. I have to stay here. I'm gonna call the police occasionally. I'm gonna engage with the stalker. Like, I don't have any choice. Could never be me. Could never be me. There's no good reason for her to do that either. If it was explained like she is a horror book author or something like that, and that she finds a thrill in that because that's also what she writes about and everything, that would be okay. That would be a better explanation, because it would be an explanation, but I just made that up. Also, the plot that is going on in the background that I will not be talking about is that her grandma was also stalked. And then they have like a conversation about the fact that, oh my god, do you think that I'm the reincarnation of your grandmother, and because she was stalked, I'm the reincarnation of her stalker, and so we're meant to always stalk? No, I don't think that. No, to each your own. But that could never be me. I have to say it again. And also, he is just a dude. And also, if you're wondering, he does wear skinny jeans. He does wear skinny jeans, and that is another reason I cannot take him seriously. Who the fuck wears skinny jeans? Sorry to all the skinny jeans wearer. I'm just joking. But she also wears skinny jeans. Anyway, her grandma, right? I forgot her name. Jeannie or something. She was also stalked. And what we have after or before every chapter is a letter from her grandmother. And this is like the diary from her that the main character is reading simultaneously, and she's trying to figure out who murdered her grandmother, because she was murdered and then people were just like, oh, it was her stalker, because apparently it got known that she had a stalker, and no one ever inquired who is the murderer. And she now has taken it up on herself to figure it out. And if you're wondering who the grandma's stalker was, it was Cristiano Ronaldo. Fan cast. Donald Trump is the fan cast for Zaid, and Ronaldo is the fan cast for the other stalker. It's a great cast. This was only introduced so that you could have a plot going on besides the stalking and the vaping, because other than that, there's nothing going on in this book, right? And I'm not lying, by the way. Like, the dude's name was Ronaldo. The Cristiano I added. Creative liberty or something. Just so you have a visual in your head, you know? Because I'm just talking about these people. Who's my fan cast for Addie? Me. No, I don't want to be fucked by Donald Trump. We're in the dude's head now. His POV, and he explains to us what his job is. I created, well, how would he talk? I created an entire organization built solely around ending human trafficking. I started out as a hacker, exposing the truths of our corrupt government. And then, as I became more aware of their true nature, the depravity of their sickness, it turned into personally snuffing out every single one of these sick bastards, starting from the bottom up. I don't really know who the highest up is. The president? Who is the highest up? Like, who is he trying to kill? But I couldn't be both a hacker and a mercenary. And what I really enjoyed doing is being the one to put the bullet in their heads myself. He just wants to kill. He wants to kill the people. So I created my orc, Z, from the ground up, recruiting a team of hackers to help the mercenaries with their job, get into the rings, kill them all, and get the victims out safely. I stationed my mercenaries in high-rate trafficking and blah 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 blah. We get it, QAnon. This was only done because he is continuously assaulting and vaping the female main character, Addie. And the only way, apparently, that Haley could think of redeeming him, because he does do those things, is making him against child trafficking and sex trafficking. But then he vapes someone. I'm conflicted. So what is it that you want? End vaping or do it yourself? He's just the best. He's like, I'm gonna kill everybody in the world because everyone's corrupt, and especially the people in this town in Ohio. I don't know where this takes place. I do actually. Seattle, there's a lot of pedophiles in Seattle apparently, allegedly. According to this book. This is still very at the beginning, but she takes a dude home from the club and then she's in her winter garden. Is that what you call it? I don't really know. It's like inside but outside at the same time. And she gets fingered by this dude. So like a sexual scene very early on. And Zaid is watching this. And then he's like, oh my god, ugh, I can't believe she's doing this. Because I think he warned her to not do anything with any other man. And then he actually kills the dude. So hot. People on TikTok always say Zaid is the standard. He is the hottest dude ever. Like, do you want your boyfriend to kill? He kills him, but at the end of the day, it's okay. Because it turns out that that dude was a bad person anyway. He would never kill a good person. I just don't believe that. You know? Apparently he abused his ex-wife, and so he was like, yeah, that dude was a douchebag anyway, so I killed him. And then he cuts off his hands and sends them to her via mail. Yeah. She calls her friend about this instead of calling the police. Literally, she says, oh fuck, fuckity fuck. God, please don't allow this to happen to me on this fine Sunday morning. Please let me not find what I think I'm going to find. So she finds the severed hands, and then it says, I twirl and run back in the house, scrambling to find my phone to call Daya, her best friend from the beginning. Her best friend is not really good at critical thinking, just like she isn't really good at critical thinking. And her best friend also works for the organization, by the way. But they don't know each other. She doesn't know the stalker Zaid. She doesn't know him. She just works for him because she's a hacker. But she is not a good enough hacker because he hacks over her hacks. He out-hacks he out-hexes her. So what I'm trying to point out is the first person she calls after finding the hands is her best friend. My first person I would call is the police. Speed dial. There is a letter in the box that says don't call the police, but she finds this after calling her best friend already. So she could have very easily called the police and then found a note. But, you know, like, make her see the note before and then it would make sense that she called her best friend instead of the police. But she did not see the note and then she still called her best friend anyway. I could do it better. There's also a lot of talking in this book, and you know where we are. We are in Yapville. I'm yapping out of my ass most of the time of my life. The yapping in this book is honestly like it out yaps me. And that's very difficult for me to say and to admit, but there's just so much talking about the house, especially in the beginning, and it becomes so irrelevant later on, which is like, and then she like starts seeing ghosts at some point, but only once or twice. No relevance. Why are there ghosts? Maybe they're relevant in the second book that I will not be reading. People say you should read the second book. It's better. Sorry? I don't think so. Maybe she was trying to do like a thriller in the beginning where there's just a lot of talking, because obviously you need to build tension when there's like, I round the corner and I look and there's nothing there, but I hear a sound, blah, blah, blah. And then he also talks about killing someone. Like he interrogates someone and then kills him. And it's just a lot of yapping that I just didn't read. Get to the fucking point. I hate when people don't get to the point. Of course, we need a little bit of scenery. We need a little bit of description to establish something, but not that much. Also, I would like it better if it was written better, because the writing of this is also not very good. Love you. No, hate you, Haley. Haley Bieber? She wrote this. This is your alias. He starts getting closer to Addie. He keeps leaving roses and hacking her and watching her, and he starts texting her at some point. He's like, you look so cute right now, and she's like, she texts him back, of course, because she has no common sense. Finally, we get the first sexy scene. We've been waiting for this one, and I'm gonna read out to you what it says. It's time to punish you. Oh, it's him. It's time to punish you, and I thought of the many ways I could do this, he says, ignoring my yap. It only infuriates me more that he finds my lack of consent is so inconsequential. So ... worthless. None of the sex scenes, or not even the like full pee-pee and poo-poo scenes, just also like oral and stuff, nothing is consensual in this book. Zaid keeps reasoning that, oh, I know that she will fall in love with me, and so I'm doing it. So I'm just taking her as I want. And then he also says, oh well, but she's wet, so she wants it. That's not how it works. The main character is literally crying in every fucking scene that they have together up until the end, where they're like doing it, saying no, saying stop, trying to push him off, talking about how she doesn't want this, and she feels betrayed by her body for being wet. This is victim blaming. She is a victim, and she's blaming, right? Victim blaming. The sex scenes in general are also just so unsexy, and I don't know how anyone can enjoy them. Literally, explicitly on page it's saying, or the main character saying, no, stop. There is no reason to be enjoying those scenes as the reader and thinking they are hot when you know that the person that's part of this does not consent. I don't understand it. You just have to take my word for it. Because I did not mark every single time she said no. Because then I would have like an unbelievable amount of marks. I think that people who really enjoy this book, they just tend to ignore the fact that this is unconsensual. And as I said, someone did comment under a TikTok that I saw that the love that is between the characters comes from the passion. And I don't understand what they meant. I've talked about this before, but I've never commented hate under anyone's post, / I've never been mean to anyone on social media on their posts. It's not me. I'm such a silent watcher. I never like, I never comment, I never share. I don't follow any influencers. I'm just existing in my own sphere, minding my business most of the time. I'm still minding my business if I make videos like this, because I'm not forcing it on anyone. People choose to watch it. You choose to watch it. Love you. Love you so much. Shout out. Love you. Just the idea that anyone could recommend this to anyone else? No. I cannot entertain it. Also, one time I was at the bookstore, and I've talked about this before in my dark romance podcast episode. There was a girl there, and she recommended Haunting Adeline to her best friend, or not best friend, I don't want to accuse them, to her friend who was there with her, and she was like, oh my god, there's a scene where she gets fingered and then he cuts off the hands and then he sends them to her. That's so crazy. You need help. Why are we writing about this? And I just don't understand why we had to write about the sex being unconsensual him vaping her. Why is it necessary? I don't understand the necessity of it. And then him being portrayed as the good guy, that's where the issue comes from, because again, if she was being vaped on page, I don't think that ever needs to be on page, but if she was being vaped on page and she then does not end up with the vapist, that would be better. Would it be good? No. Would it be better? Yes. Yes. I don't understand why the main characters always need to end up with their abusers. We're not learning anything. We're not learning anything. No educational value. Then she's talking to her, after being fingered by Zaid, she's talking to her best friend, and I don't know if she told her best friend about this. Oh, no, she didn't, because she's wearing a turtleneck to cover up the hickeys and bruises that he gave her, because he also does bite her and everything. It's not even like loving vape. Not that vape could ever be loving, but like gentle in a sense. He's very hardcore also. He's very explicit about it. He's very much like fucking her with a gun. Yeah. Her friend says only you can make a turtleneck, mom jeans, and a belt look fashionable. That is like the most basic outfit I could think of right now. Turtleneck, mom jeans, and a belt. What are we saying? We have more sex scenes, and I would like to read out some of the highlights of them, because as I said, they are very unsexy. Even if people are like, oh, the smut is good of this book, which is not the truth. I don't know what I wanted to say. Oh, this is proving the contrary, that the smut is not written well. The book itself is also not written well. I have it screenshotted. I took a screenshot. She does use the word orbs multiple times. Not just once, an accidental orb. Multiple times to describe the dude's eyes. She doesn't just say orb, she says, because he has two different eye colors, by the way, yin-yang orbs. That is the line! His yin-yang orbs! Huh? Imagine reading that out of context. And that brings me to an amazing screenshot from Twitter, where I was also like trying to see if anyone had anything interesting to say about the book. Someone said, H.D. Colton is a poetic genius. I have no highlighted parts in any other book I've read, but Haunting Adeline, so many amazing lines. Is that one of them? His yin-yang orbs. When I find it, I will show you guys so you believe me. But alas, back to what we were doing. What am I saying? Ugh, I just had dinner, guys. I need to take a nap. I need to take a nap to digest. Other than the sexy scenes being weird, the main character describes herself as having a flat stomach multiple times. Also not just once, accidental flat stomach. I'm reading this and I'm like, what? His calloused fingers lift up my t-shirt, exposing my black lace panties and flat stomach. Okay. Huh? She just really wanted to make sure that we knew she was none of them fat bitches. What the fuck? She's like, I hate the fat bitches. My stomach is flat. So everybody knows, my tummy is flat. Very peculiar way to describe yourself. I would never do that. I don't get it. And then also what just drives home the point that I could not like this book, even if it had redeeming qualities, which it doesn't. He calls her exquisite. And I've voiced my hate for exquisite multiple times in my life on his channel. You are absolutely exquisite, he breathes, his hands trailing across my stomach reverently. Fuck off, I growl again. He's SAing her again. Fuck off, stop, no, we get it. I don't know why authors do it. They always use the word exquisite. And I don't know, someone once said that they started noticing it more since I pointed it out. But have you ever heard anyone use the word exquisite in real life? Genuinely. I never hear anyone use that word. Why would I use that word? That's such a pretentious ass word. If I were getting sexy with someone consensually and they told me you're exquisite, I would be like, sorry? What did you just say? It would take me out. Take me out. Do you know that show? I don't know if that exists anywhere outside of Germany, probably. He then tells her, you're so fucking creamy. What? And he says this also multiple times, the word creamy. He wants to go her creamy thighs. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? This is so not hot. I squeeze my eyes shut, hating how I feel my pussy throb from his words and the attention he's giving me. What? He's eating her out and she's screaming. She is pushing him off. She's like, I hate myself. I hate myself for reacting like this. And you know what vibes it gave me? And this is gonna be an X course that I don't know how many people who watch this are gonna remember. Do you guys remember Rice Gum? Do you remember him? He was a YouTuber back in the day. Very controversial. And I don't know if he's still active or anything. I never watched him, but I watched people make exposed videos about him, so I know. And he had multiple scandals, but one time he was interviewing a girl that got vaped. And he asked her, after she talks about it, did it feel good though? Did it feel good though? And that is the perfect summary for why he's doing everything. The main character here. He's saying, well, you're wet, so you want me. Imagine if he was a fat fatty. Imagine if he was a fat fatty. But no, he's hot with yin yang orbs. You don't consent just because you're wet. That's not what consent is. After that, I started reading on my phone. And I'm so happy when I can finally delete these screenshots off my fucking phone, of this fucking book. Imagine if I lost my phone and anyone went through my phone and they would just see screenshots of this book. I would be in jail. She kind of tries to be a little self-aware and reasoning why Zaid would vape a person, but then at the same time be so against child trafficking and literally dedicating his life to ending that. I don't regret it. Not any more than when I stuck a gun in her C-word and made her come. And I know how fucked up that is, to take something without consent. I know that's what I'm fighting against every day. She hasn't given it to me yet, but she will. I know my little mouse better than she knows herself. I'm not doing the voice. She's in too much denial to see how drawn she is to me. If she wasn't, she wouldn't instigate, pushing to get her clit bitten, knowing damn well I stayed true to my word. If she genuinely wasn't intrigued, she wouldn't have texted me back in the first place. Her actions speak an entirely different language than her words. A language filled with desire and pleasure. She just hasn't learned to translate it yet. Doesn't make it right, nor does it justify it. But I can't make myself regret it. It's not working out. It's not working for me. They have a call on the phone, yapping. Just yapping. She's like, did you know my grandma also has a stalker? They have the conversation about whatever. They're really just yapping. There's nothing of value here. He's like, you'll love me eventually. And the writing is just not good. Maybe this is like the line. Ugh, I really want to read the orb line out to you guys just to prove myself. Because no one ever talks about that. Why has no one mentioned that before? That's like a valid enough reason for me to not read a book if the eyes are described as orbs. But alas, I'm a reviewer. That's why I'm sitting here. It's my job. She's now confessing to her best friend that she's been sexual with Zaid. And she knows about the stalker. She knows she's been getting stalked. She doesn't really care. Like, she cares, but she doesn't really care, like, at the end when they actually have sex, because this is all not pee-pee and poop. She's like, oh, bitch! Damn! And that's it. And the thing is, I'm not exaggerating, because they keep calling each other bitch and slut. I don't feel it. I don't know how you guys are with your best friends. You can call each other bitch and slut all you want, like, I get it. Like, sometimes I say bitch a lot, I know, in my videos. Every conversation that they have, her best friend is just like, bitch, and literally it says here, bitch, what the fuck, she shouts. Was it consensual? And then she goes, the main character, and this is where I get tripped up, because it wasn't. But had he kept going, had he stripped his clothes from his body and fucked me, I can't say with absolute certainty that I would have stopped him, or that I would have wanted to. Still, I shake my head no. I put my hand on hers. Daya, well, it wasn't consensual at first. She blinks. At first, meaning what? He was that good that he changed your mind? Then she's like, oh, I don't know. And then her best friend goes, spill, slut. I'm scared. It's just not working out. I don't really know what she was aiming for, Mrs. Haley, with the way she was writing this, why she wrote this, what motivated her to write this. I cannot reason within myself why she would want to write a book like this and have this be attached to her name at all. And there's different books in this universe too. There's prequels, there's going to be a spin-off, there's like a bunch of things in this universe. And this reputation will follow you your entire life. And you're 27 years old, you're young. But you will always be known as the girly pop that wrote a stalker vaping someone. Anyway. Is that what you want to stand for? She just tries to reason within her characters, like being self-aware, but at the end of the day, vape is vape. Non-consensual intercourse is non-consensual intercourse. It's not like they're role-playing or anything. It's not like they're role-playing not being consensual. She's literally saying no, seriously, in a serious tone. At this point, finally we get to see his pee-pee, but we're just working towards pee-pee and poo-poo, and he forces her to give him a blowjob. When his free hand reaches to his zipper and slowly pulls it down, I know I fucked up. You just couldn't keep your mouth shut, could you, Addie? I stare at his hand movements like he's about to open up a jar of spiders. He pops the button on his jeans and then stills for a beat. A gasp bursts from my throat as he wrenches my head roughly to his pelvis right as he pulls out his cock. Fuck. Fine. Okay. So maybe his dick is the exact opposite of punny. Poony. Poony? And would surely kill me if he did decide to choke me on it. And maybe it wouldn't be the worst way to die when it's the most mouth-watering thing I've ever seen. It's otherworldly. I'm sorry. I have never looked at a penis and thought that. We've lost the plot. Have you guys ever looked at a penis and thought it was mouth-watering? We're a safe space here, but like... Sorry. I'll never tell him how glorious he looks because right now I want to fucking chop it off. Just like he did Arch's hands. He wouldn't be a man without his cock. Anyway. I lied. It says, desire shines in his yin-yang pools. But does it make it any better? I'm so certain she uses the word orbs. Or did I just manifest that in my brain? Like I was getting delusional. Okay. It says his yin-yang pools. Which, jail. But it also says at one point, I love the way his fiery orbs trace over my body. So she does use both the word pool and orb to describe eyes. Sorry I lied, guys, but I don't think it matters. He meets with this dude, his name is Mark, and he was apparently one of the people that had a very Jewish last name in the original version of the book. He's a senator, and he is a pedo. He accidentally gets Addie involved in this, like he's trying to befriend him to infiltrate the ring that he's part of with the sacrificing, and he pretends to also be a pedo, and they're at a cafe having a conversation, and he's like, look at the hot girl over there, and it's Addie. Like the senator dude says that, and he's like, oh, that's actually my girl, and then the senator is like, okay, why didn't you say anything? And he's like, well, I didn't wanna, like, link her up. What do you say? I didn't want to distract her. I couldn't think of the English word. And then Mark is like, oh, let's just get introduced, blah, blah, blah. And they go and they introduce themselves, and that's how Addie now gets more involved in his life, like figuring out what he does for work in his free time. He doesn't really do anything in his free time, he just kills people. Yeah. They get involved to a point where Mark is like, oh, my dad used to be really good friends with your grandma. And so... because Mark is like in his 40s or something. And so I might have some information on your grandma's stalker and how she was murdered, because as we know, this is like the side plot going on that we want to uncover how she was really murdered. And so he invites both Zaid and Addie to his house, and she agrees because he's like, I have more information if you come to my house. And she's like, okay, I'll come. And then Zaid takes Addie with him to the pedophiles, and at this point, we have the first scene where she takes control and she starts giving him a blowjob because she wants to. But she doesn't really want to. She's just doing it because she's like, oh, he's gonna make me do it, so I'm just gonna do it. And then he's almost like killing her with his massive ding dong. It's like the biggest ding dong you could imagine. It like goes up to her, how do you say, up to his throat. That's how long it is. Obviously, because she's now more included with the whole Mark situation and he's pretending to be someone else so he can get into the ring of pedophiles, she finds out what his job really is and that he's the ultimate mega giga 3000 hacker of the entire universe. He can hack everything in the universe. And she's like, that's kind of hot. No, I don't really know what she says in response. I don't think she gets it. I don't think she's a STEM girly. I don't think she thinks much at all, to be fair. Not because this place is ugly, but because it's so damn pretentious and flashy. I don't need to see the rest of the house to know what the place screams. Look at me. I have a gazillion dollars and have no intention of sharing the wealth with the millions of starving families around the world. But what do I know? I've always wondered if the people who have the money to feed the entire world population are allowed to. All governments are corrupted. Maybe if you try to save the world and actively steal money from the richest pockets, you wake up dead one day. Randomly, she's having these thoughts while at the senator's house because she was invited with Zaid. Sprinkle, sprinkle, conspiracy queen. Let's just put every conspiracy we can think of into this book. While there, he fingers her in the movie room to an unreleased movie, which I don't know if that's also supposed to be a conspiracy theory, that people who are in higher positions get movies pre-release on DVD before they're in the cinema. I don't really know why we included that scene. I lost a young girl today, he confesses, his voice hoarse and uneven. I swallow, sadness spearing deep in my chest. He pauses and I don't speak, letting him find the words at his own pace. She was very traumatized and wouldn't stop screaming. I wasn't in the building yet. I was still working my way in when I heard the gunshot go off. I heard the conversation before I killed them. She was fighting them tooth and nail. It didn't matter how much they threatened to kill her. She fought anyways. Sighing softly, I sit on my butt and wrap myself around him like a koala on a tree. Legs and arms around his torso and my head resting against his broad back. He doesn't move, a stone pillar amongst the wreckage of his mind. Just like the ruins in Greece. Huh? He's at her place in the middle of the night. She was sleeping. She wakes up. She sees him standing there. He's a stalker still. He's like, yeah, I lost a girl today. She died. I wanted to save her. You know what? That girl wouldn't have wanted to be saved if she knows you were a vapist. But alas. Because he keeps telling these girls like, I'll get you out. I'm not one of the evil guys. You are. You know? Like, what the fuck? And then I was reading this and for some reason, I don't know why, the author Haley Girly Pop is trying so hard to sound a certain way. Occasionally using big words, always using comparisons to make herself sound smarter or make the book, not herself, I don't know how smart, I don't know how smart she is, but just to make the book sound smarter than it is. He doesn't move, a stone pillar amongst the wreckage of his mind, just like the ruins in Greece. I feel like she wrote this and she was like, you could have just done a post-op. You could have just been like, he doesn't move, a stone pillar amongst the wreckage of his mind. Why the fuck did we add just like the ruins in Greece? Oh, those ones, the ruins in Greece. That's the only ruins that she knows. What the fuck is this line? Does it make sense? Like, does it strike anyone else as peculiar? I'm just gonna use this word forever. I don't know what time it is. I don't know how old I am, and I don't know where I am. The amount of times I've had to break. Man. I don't know where we were. He sleeps over because he's so depressed. Yet again, we're talking about the comparisons. Yeah, we have another one. His eyes are tracing my curves like they're scripture, and he's a sinner that is searching for proof of a God that he no longer can hear. Bitch! We are in a dark romance contemporary book. Tone it down a little for me. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Just lines like that always take me out. Take me out. No, I always have to sing the theme song when I say that. Something I want to point out, and I have another screenshot for later, the amount of references to God and Jesus Christ himself are so many. He talks about being God so many times that me, as someone who's not religious, it made me uncomfortable. I was like, okay, I get it. What the fuck are you saying? We are in a haunted house, mansion, fair, whatever. It's called Satan's Affair. And it's also the title of like a prequel or something. It's a haunted house thing. And this is where they finally do pee-pee and poo-poo, but there's some prelude to that. She visits this with her bestie babe, Daya. And of course, Zayd is also there because this man does not have any hobbies. At one point, he literally gets into his car and I just thought I was reading about Batman. He's doing nothing but fight crime and drive around in his Batmobile the entire fucking day. He gets into his car and she goes like, I have a screen, I have a laptop I can mount on here, and then I can pull out the desk the laptop is mounted on in my car, and a few other gadgets. She says gadgets. So this man is supposed to be Batman, I'm pretty sure. But just if Batman vaped. Yeah. And since he doesn't have any hobbies or any friends, he is watching Addie as she is at this haunted house thing. Luckily, because Mark and his bestie babes are also there, and as we remember, Mark is the child sacrificing senator. They actually bump into each other, Addie and Mark. They have a little conversation, and Zayd sees this and he's like, oh, I'm scared. So he goes up to Mark. Mark knows he's there. He also says, oh, I'm gonna go in now. To Addie because she just went into the house, and then he follows her, right? He's thinking in his head, oh, when Addie and I have babies, if I have a daughter, her room is gonna be completely black because the haunted house is decked out in pink. My skin prickles as I look around the pink monstrosity. What in the actual hell, I mutter under my breath, momentarily distracted by the eyesore in this house. If Addie and I have a daughter, I hope she has some goddamn sense and prefers black. It feels like my eyeballs are physically cringing from all the pink. Did Barney come in here and shit everywhere? Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know what his problem is, if I'm being honest. I don't know if he knew that pink was the trend color of this year. So there's a bunch of things that happen next. Addie is now going through these houses because there's multiple. She ends up in the last one, which is a mirror house, which is a mirror maze. And so if you hear people talk about the mirror scene in Haunting Adeline, this is the first time they actually fuck in this mirror house. But before that, there's also a bunch of things that happen. We meet another side character for like 2 scenes very randomly, and she's getting her own spin-off, which is why I'm mentioning her, otherwise I wouldn't. It's like a mentally ill girl. Her name is Sibylle. Her name is like Sybil. I don't know how you say it in English, but in German you would say Sibylle, and it's like a very mom name, you know? Sibylle is mentally ill. She seems to be exhibiting signs of schizophrenia, and Zaid in his head is like, oh, I don't want to make fun of her mental disability, but I'm kind of making fun of her mental disability because she's like, oh, my henchmen tell me that these are bad guys. Henchmen, stay behind, and there's no one there. And so he's like, okay, this girl's like fucking insane. And she is apparently just living in the walls of this haunted house and kills people. Yeah. And so Zaid overhears Mark and his bestie babes talk about the fact that they want to steal Addie and her friend. And so he just kind of makes, in German you say, kurzen Prozess, which means short process, which means he just he just doesn't think a lot, he just kind of does it, he just does it very quickly. I hate explaining idioms, I feel so silly. He makes kurzen Prozess and he decides to just kill them. But he wants to find Addie first to make sure she's safe, so he leaves them with Sibylle, who is crazy, and she is like, I'm gonna take care of them, I can tell they're bad guys. And she hides them in her secret room that apparently no one working at the haunted house know about, and they also don't know she's living in the walls and killing people. Right. And then we get the infamous, I think I'm using that word incorrectly, famous, more like it, quote from Zaid, where he's now seeing Addie in this mirror maze. She's completely alone, there's no one in this house, and he says, run, he growls. My lungs constrict at the guttural command. If I catch you, I fuck you. She runs, but he does catch up to her, and he does fuck her. He does. She's like, oh my god, somebody could come in, and then they could expose us for fucking in the mirror maze, because there's mirrors everywhere, but I'm pretty sure he like took care of that no one would come in. And also, apparently they fuck for 2 hours in the span of 1 chapter, because she gets out and she's like, oh my god, I was in there for 2 hours. Shut up. And as if that doesn't turn my knees to jelly, the thick veins roping from his neck down to his thick corded arms and to his massive hands are my undoing. He's ... fucking phenomenal. It takes a total of 0 seconds before he's bristling with the need to fuck me. With every inch of his skin revealed, I grow shakier and wetter. But the best line is, it's not fair for someone to be so perfect, marred, and scarred as he is. If anything, the obvious abuse his body, because he has scars. If anything, the obvious abuse his body has endured only makes him that much more edible. It makes him that much more edible. I choke on air when I pull down his pants, his hard pee-pee jutting out from the confines of his jeans. I told you guys he's wearing skinny jeans, and you thought I was making it shit up. When he's entirely naked, I take a big step from him and look around. I stare at him from every angle the mirrors provide, just like he did with me. Thick thighs, tight, round ass, and a defined back that I want to rub myself over, and the most beautiful pee-pee I've ever seen. What the fuck? I want to rub myself all over him. Have you guys ever thought that? He has a tight round ass, cute little butt. He does do, he doesn't skip leg day. He's too thick and too long for my small mouth. Tears instantly flood my eyes and spill over as he keeps forcing himself deeper. Instinctively, my hands grip his thick thighs, pushing against him. Still, they're having sex. She's still not consenting anyway. What am I supposed to say? After having sex for 2 hours, Zaid remembers that, oh wait, I locked up a senator and his friends with a crazy person, which she says, and I have to kind of go take care of them. So he goes to them. She again Sibylle, locked them up at the top floor of the haunted house that no one knows exists or something. She's actually the one that ends up killing, like, I think there are 4 people in total. She kills all 4 of them by stabbing them to death extensively, allegedly. And so he just makes Mark, who he's ended up like trying to befriend for the last 20% of the book, because right now we're 75% in, by the way. He makes him confess everything to do with the sacrifice and the rituals, which it's so weird to me because he's like, I've been working towards this my entire life, this is my job. Like, I think that if he was the super ultimate giga hacker, couldn't he just hack emails and shit and then just do it? Like, why does he need to work so much and need to get this information out of people? I don't really get it. We perform rituals on them. He tightens his lips, a pained expression on his red face. That's how we're sworn into the secret society. We must perform a ritual and mark ourselves as children of the eternal rebirth. They are cosmic entities and the true authority over this world. He really has lost his mind, even more than the Demon Slayer, which is Sibylle. He confirms that what they do to children, the government's involvement, and I make sure to have him clarify the 2 men left breathing next to him are a part of these fucked up rituals. It takes stabbing Jack in the thigh before he admits to his sins, blah blah blah. They confess, Sibylle kills them all. Sibylle ends up getting imprisoned. Yeah. He thinks about the fact that he could blame everything on Sibylle, and then he's like, no, I'm not gonna do it, like, she's mentally ill. And then it ends up happening. And I don't know what like her duet is gonna be about, because it's gonna be a duet, the story of Sibylle. If it's like him getting her out of prison or something, but she does end up going to prison because she killed like 20 people or something. They have far more control over our government than I thought. The president is just a puppet, and these people who refer to themselves as the society, they hold the real power. Tell me why you did this. What does Eddie have to do with this? And then Mark says, she was already marked. And Zeta's like, what does it mean? And then Mark goes, I took a picture of her because she looked familiar. And when she told me her name, I realized that she was a target of the societies. It worked out perfectly that they happened to call me, and I told them everything. She's worth a lot of money, man. And the society wants her. It doesn't matter to them who I am, who you are. It doesn't even matter who I am. When the society wants someone, they get them. And if I was the one to bring her in, I would have been highly rewarded. I don't get it. I don't get, like, the Haley's thought process behind writing this. If they are that powerful, why couldn't they just snatch her from anywhere? And why the fuck, like, I thought they were doing child sacrifices. That is a grown woman. Why do they care about a grown 26-year-old woman all of a sudden? I don't understand. Now, at this point, I took a screenshot. As I said, I don't know if, like, Haley maybe used to be religious and is not anymore, is still religious or whatever, but the amount of references to, like, I am your God and you pray to me and you are a sinner and shit like that, there were so many religious references that there must be something there. And also there must be something about the fact that so many religious girly pops recommend this book. This is not halal. One day you will realize that you are not trapped in a prison, he murmurs roughly. You are in my church where I am your God and you are my equal. I am not a jail. Little mouse, I am your sanctuary. And she goes, does that make me a goddess? And then he goes, baby, you rule the fucking kingdom and I will gladly bow to you. We're in a contemporary romance. Like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. These are just 2 people. Like, they don't have any magical power or anything. They're just 2 people fucking. Like, isn't that deep? Then, after this, he fucks her again, but she runs away from him. And so he catches up to her, but they're outside in the forest. It's raining. She runs outside into the forest to escape him. He fucks her in the forest. I think she now has chlamydia. They then make it to her car. He fucks her on the backseat of her car and everything is still not consensual. And then she's like kind of getting ballsy and she's like, okay, maybe I do like it. And she goes, did you think this was the only time you would fuck me tonight? She's not in love with him at this point. She doesn't even like him that much. But he does confess to her what his actual job is and he describes it himself, so I'll just read it out to you. Because at this point she's also asking him, like, if this is your job, why are you doing this? So now we can discuss the fact why he is such a hero and what motivates him to be such a hero, right? To just end everything and everyone. I target specific people, politicians, celebrities, businessmen, people in positions of power or who have money, and even people who are lowest of the totem pole and will do anything to get by. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what their job is or how much money they have because they're all the same. They're human sex traffickers. For years, I've been targeting pedophile rings and dismantling them, rescue the girls and the children, and either send them back to their families or make them live comfortably. And then she says, why? Why did you choose to put your life in danger and hunt down these people and kill them? What made you decide this? And you have to understand, this is fiction. This is a book written by Haley Carlton. And she could have given any reason to her character. She could have written anything. She could have come up with anything. This is her story that she's telling. And the reason Zayd is doing this is because I want to, baby. Because I want to. Because I'm not busy or anything. You're expecting me to give you a legitimate reason for why I took this path in life? Maybe I had a sister or mother who was kidnapped and sold. Maybe I was myself, but none of those things are the case. When I learned about human trafficking and the depths of its depravity, I was sickened. And I have the skill to do something about it, and so I am. You're making up a story and you want to keep your readers intrigued. You need to give your characters motivation. That's how writing works. You can't just say because I want to. That's ass character description. Or how do you say, like, character background. Out of all of the things that you could have said why you did this, you chose to go the route because I want to? He really is bad. No, even Batman's parents were killed. Even he had a reason. Have you never read or watched anything into your entire fucking life to not know the fact that you need to give your character a motivation? Because I want to, baby. Because I just want to. Why not? He says, why not? Also, if you're wondering about the side story with the grandma and who killed her, it turns out, because again, this is a duet, so we know like 3 characters. There's not that many characters to know. And we were introduced to Mark, who was then killed because he was part of this sex thing. And he talked about his dad, who used to be friends with the grandma and her husband. Because the grandma was married, right? But she had a stalker that she had an affair with. And so we know in this whole, how do you say, in this whole convulsion, no, that's not what you say. All of these characters, there's 4 people in this story. The husband, the stalker, the dad from the senator, and the grandma who was killed. Who out of these 3 men, that's not the German way to do it, that's the German way to do it. Out of these 3 men, who could have potentially killed the grandma? They said it was the stalker. Obviously it was not Cristiano Ronaldo, he's busy playing in Saudi Arabia. And then the whole time she was trying to lead you onto this road of, oh, the husband did it because he was so jealous of her having an affair. And then you get introduced to this 3rd man that was kind of suspicious. So let's guess who killed the grandma. Of course it was the 3rd random guy. Do I give a fuck? No. But they find this out, and the moment that this man was introduced to this plotline of the grandma, I was like, oh, he did it, right? He was the one who killed her. It was so fucking obvious. And that's why I'm saying, like, this plot is ass. Anyone could have guessed that. If I can guess it, you can guess it. Dude, her and her best friend right there on this mission to find out who did it. They figure it out. But when they're figuring it out, they get some information. And then, again, this is first person. This is in the main character's perspective right now. And she writes this line, brown eyes clash with green in a symphony of shock and excitement. I cannot do this anymore. This is something you would write when you're not in first person. Because why the fuck would you write brown eyes clash with green eyes in a symphony of shock and excitement? You would write, I look at my best friend. I don't understand it. I don't understand what Haley was trying to do. I don't think she can write well. And of course we could argue, well, she's written other books since then, but she's also written other books before that. So this wasn't like her debut or anything. She's been writing. But again, this is self-published. Like, I get why no publisher wanted this, because it's ass. It's not just the plot that's ass, it's the writing that's ass. Bitch, you can't write. I told you this was gonna be angry. I'm not gonna apologize. You know who could have done it better? Sophie. Me. Sophie, me. Honestly, Sophie. A really interesting line. They have sex again. I think this is like the last scene where they fuck. And it's out of Zayd's perspective. And this is like the first time that she willingly does it with him, like without trying to push him off. And the description is, she gyrates down onto me relentlessly. And I sat back and I said, I said, what the fuck does that mean? Gyrate? To gyrate means to turn around and round in a circle, usually very fast. That's what she's doing on his dick? She's going like this. I don't feel like gyrate was the right word to use here, now that I know its meaning. Now you're asking me, okay, this is the last sex scene, so how does the book end? Well, basically, after Mark was killed, the senator, he still needed to somehow get into this ring because he wanted to get into the ritual thing to then attack them. And apparently, he manages this because he then befriends some other dude whose name I forgot, who's also like a politician. And he pretends again to be a pedophile, and then the dude is like, oh yeah, Mark told me about you, blah blah blah, I know about you. How about you wanna be part of the society and get initiated? And then Zayd is like, oh wow, I didn't even know that existed, sure. He pretends. He obviously knows what it is. Long story short, he ends up in this ritual. And he gets like a rope. He gets a fucking necklace. Like that one Tom Cruise movie that I watched with my boyfriend. What was it called? You guys know the one. Where he's like also in a fucking society. Ugh, why don't we always watch movies like that? I want to watch like, I don't know, Shrek. They're about to do a child sacrifice. Yet again, you know, what they do on a random Thursday. And what? Who's Jaden? How the fuck did I come to the name Jaden? I've never said that in my life. Zayd, obviously. No one in this book is called Jaden. I don't know any Jadens. Zayd then decides to attack now that he's in the circle, like literally about to do the child sacrifice. He's like, okay, come in. And then his people storm the place, but somewhere an explosion goes off, blah, blah, blah. It was a setup. They knew that someone was infiltrating and they set it up to see if it was Zayd or whatever. I don't really know how that storyline ends. I just know that the next chapter is Addie's and she gets kidnapped. That's the next book. It's gonna be about her actually being sex trafficked. Yeah. She actually gets kidnapped by a dude that you were supposed to kind of forget about. He was friends with the dude whose hands got cut off in the very beginning. And then Zayd in some scene had like a talk with him and he was like threatening him like, don't get close to Addie, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, I took care of it. And then you were supposed to forget about him. And he now turns up in the very last scene with his bestie babes and he kidnaps Addie to avenge his best friend who was killed. But he's also mean. Mean in the sense of like, he's evil. No, it's just mean. He's very evil. Let's wrap it up. As you can see, I promised the sun would go down and it did go down. I've been sitting here for a long time. But not a good time. I was curious what the second book was about. Me saying that she gets sex trafficked is just alleged. Like, I've heard about people talk about it, that the scenes are even worse in the second book and it's even more explicit and disturbing than her getting continuously vaped in this book. Because now it's like other people doing it and not just her stalker. Okay, British. So I was curious and I looked on Goodreads because the second book is called Haunting Adeline. Stop! I don't know. It's called Hunting Adeline. The first book's called, what we just talked about is Haunting Adeline because she's being stalked. And then the next book is called Hunting Adeline because she's abducted and the dude is trying to get to her. And so it could not be any more cryptic, the description. I will read it out to you in its entirety. The Diamond Death walks alongside me, but the Reaper is no match for me. I'm trapped in a world full of monsters dressed as men and those who aren't as they seem. They won't keep me forever. I no longer recognize the person I've become, and I'm fighting to find my way back to the beast who hunts me in the night. They call me a diamond, but they've only created an angel of death. The hunter, I was born a predator, with ruthlessness ingrained in my bones. When what's mine is stolen from me in the night, like a diamond hidden within a fortress, I fight that I can no longer contain the beast. Mr. Beast? Mr. Russ? Blood will paint the ground as I tear apart this world to find her and bring her back to where she belongs. No one will escape my wrath, especially not those who have betrayed me. Warning, this is the second and final installment to the duet. you must read Haunting Adeline first. I can't even say peace and love when I talk about Mrs. Haley because war and hate, war and hate, war and hate. Essentially, guys, there was nothing in this book. I don't really know what took me so long to, like why this video was so long. Because there was no plot going on, and I'm obviously not gonna sit here and read out every fucking vaping scene to you because that's just fucking disturbing. As I said, I do not understand how people can find any joy within this book, within this story, how people can go out and say, I love Zaid. I forgot his last name. Meadows. Is that his last name? Or am I confusing it? Who is that? Who's Jaden? I will not be reading the second book. I don't give a fuck. Even if you paid me, I wouldn't read it. If you paid me 10 billion euros, then I would. I also don't want to read any other books by this author. I know that, again, she just recently published Where's Molly? And the reason I know this is because in my dark romance podcast episode, I talked about the German creator on Booktok that loves Haunting Adeline. It's her entire personality, Haunting Adeline and Shatter Me, which is two very stark contrasts, if I'm being honest. And she talked about the fact that H.G. Haley Carlton has now published Where's Molly? And I don't know who Molly is. I think she's a character from the second book. But I could write a better stalker romance. I don't know why we need to write a stalker romance and then there's no romance. But the romance comes from the passion. Remember that. Whatever that means. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I wanted to point out, but I think that's pretty much it. Oh, another anecdote that I give you guys. I'm just deleting all the pictures of my phone right now. I was at the bookstore because I wanted to take a picture with the books just so I can tease it on my Instagram at honestlysophie.yt that I'm posting, filming, whatever. I looked at the price tag and the book is 30 euros. The physical version is 30 fucking euros, and now my camera's out of battery. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this book. No! I don't! I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down